For those of us playing along at home, these are the tools that we've discussed so far, so if you're familiar with these tools, then you are ready to go. Let's continue. Let's continue with our inspection of the soldering iron. Now, we have no way to take the soldering iron all the way apart without cutting the cord, which I don't really want to do. I suppose we could desolder the wires or decouple the wires from the board and then slide it out that way. We could do that. Is there a point? No, because we need the soldering iron to solder it back together, which would be very silly for us to do. I don't know. We might need a different kind of tool to open this little set screw. I know we've had a hard time seeing it, but we'll try to look again. There's a little hex-shaped set screw, very similar to this. It basically looks exactly like that. But my point is that I don't actually see a point to take it apart. The only thing we'd like to clean is the tip, and I don't think we need to take it apart for that, so I'm actually going to put it back together. Apparently certain screws fit in certain holes. This wire appears to be getting seized up in here a little bit in a way that's annoying. I encounter many situations like this where my hand just seems simply too big to be able to do the work required. It is frustrating, but I learned to make do. Okay, so all of this, this is just a piece of steel. The reason it's this color is because this heats up really hot. It heats up really hot enough to melt lower melting point metals. And so a lot of this is just char, it's dust, it's pieces of plastic, it's bits of solder, it's pieces of circuit board, it's flecks of stuff, it's oops, I set it down on the carpet by accident, it's anything that just burned to it. And that's, we're going to try to clean that. How we're going to do that, I haven't decided yet. Okay, lovely. Now, I'd really like to get this interchangeable tip out because I'd like to clean this and or simply throw it away and get or make another one. I'd really like to clean it up just because the blacker it gets, the worse it performs, let's put it that way. Right, we would like to unlock electricity in order for us to plug in our soldering iron. But in order to codify it, in order to put it on our paper, remember each tool in our toolbox comes with 3 boxes. The 3 boxes represent 3 different states of understanding that we have about those particular tools in our toolbox. So for one, in inventory, we do have power in this location, yes. So we are going to fill this in that we have electricity in inventory. Okay, we do get electricity here, yes. Taken apart and cleaned. What we're going to do is, in order to quote-unquote take it apart, we're going to talk about how it works. And we're going to talk about it in a number of different ways over a period of time because it's a very complex subject. And so I just want to introduce the idea to be able to sort of gently bring it into play. The first thing that happens is you plug stuff in, right? You plug things in with the plug, the electrical plug. The electrical plug is plugged into a, let's see, the electrical plug. Where are we going to put that? That's a tool. Let's put that down. Let's write that down. How big is an electrical plug? The 120 volt receptacle / outlet is connected to the house. That's what we need to know right now. The electrical outlet is connected to the house electrical. It's connected to the property's electrical system. The electrical system is a series of wires that goes through the walls, sometimes floors and ceilings, in order to go to one point, and that point is called the breaker box. The breaker box looks like this. This is the one in this house. The one in your house is probably located in the garage. If you've ever walked by a door in an office building that says electrical equipment, do not enter, there are things like this in there, right? Controlling the electricity to the building to make sure that everybody gets what they need so that we can power our tools like our soldering iron. You may have noticed during that drawing I used this small circle. I used a tool that we have not talked about, so let's talk about it now. This is solder. This is what goes with the soldering iron. This is the material that you use the soldering iron with. This is 60% tin, 40% lead metal, an alloy of metal. Basically, they took a bunch of those metals, melted them together, and extruded them into a little string. And that little string happens to be 0.032 inches in diameter. And what we're going to use that for is to resolder the joints back onto the USB port on our mixing board. All of these little blobs, these little silver blobs back here, those are solder. That's this. Okay, and so all we're doing is replacing the solder on those pins that go to the USB port on the board so we can put it back in the case and we can use it the way it was intended. So let's make sure we add solder to our list of materials, because not only is it a perfect size circle for drawing tools, it's also going to be paramount. It's kind of required to use the soldering iron, I suppose. Not entirely, but for this purpose, yes, it's going to be required for us. So let's add that to our page as well. Awesome. Why would we want to melt pieces of metal onto our circuit board? Because pieces of metal conduct electricity. Right? We make circuit boards out of plastic like this because plastic doesn't conduct electricity, so electricity can be corralled, can be directed into where it needs to go to be able to do its work. Here's our next tool that we're going to add to the list. This particular set, as you can see, comes to us from Bosch, but they're all the same. This is a set of screwdriver bits, just like the one that we have here, just like the one that we used before. So we should not be alarmed by these. We should be familiar with the way these look. A couple missing, but that's pretty normal. What these do is they let us take apart different kinds of screws, but my worry now that I see this is that I don't know if we have the right size even still. But we'll add this to our tools because we believed it to be believe that to be the case. But now we're in a different kind of trouble. Now I don't know what we're going to do. Now we may have to go do some more searching. I wonder. You know what? We're going to try something different right now. We're going to try magic this time. Here we go. Luckily, I was able to go out in the garage. Again, I'm not going to belabor going and searching every time we need something. But I was able to find a thinner screwdriver bit that goes in a different holder. And so it's got a different sized shank. We're going to add this to our box. I think we can squeeze it down here. Let's see. This has a rating of CR-V. And this should unscrew this little screw. Awesome. So we have a little bitty set screw that looks just like this. But it's really tiny. Okay. There you can see the tip comes out. I'm actually going to put this screwdriver bit in my other box, which seems prudent. This is the soldering tip. As you can see, this is what it's supposed to look like. This is what it does look like. It's pretty grody. Same thing here. We can clean this out as well. And then all we need to do is get a fresh one of these. We can even turn it around and use the other end, which would not be very useful, but we could do that. We're going to need to either make one of these or clean this one, and so I've opted to clean this one. So that's what we're going to do next. But we're going to have to continue to add more tools to our repertoire. This is getting very complicated. We haven't even done anything yet, but I digress. We're going to need something abrasive. In the days of the caveman, they would go and rub it against a rock, which doesn't seem the most effective these days, but, who am I to question? I also think this soldering tip is bent. I don't have a new one. I don't know if I can make a new one. I know how to, but I don't know if I have the equipment. Let's see if we can get by on one repair with this one again. That's what I think. In lieu of a coarse rock, we're going to find one of the handyman's favorite tools, the sandpaper. Lastly for today, remember when we were out in the garage and we found a bunch of baggies and stuff? Well, I'm going to use one of those to hold our tools. This is a camera bag. I'm going to use it to hold our tools. Our pin. Our pin. Our Phillips head screwdriver. Our pencil. Our soldering iron. And accoutrements. Our screwdriver bits, our solder. All right, ready for action. Stay tuned.